Hello, hello, hello. It's Randy Byrd, and we're here with Tuesday Titans Live. And I have a Titan in the house today. I'm going to introduce her in just a minute. But when I was talking to her about a week or two ago, she was really leading down a very compelling story of a kind of a work journey through state and federal and government. And I just wanted to stop her so we could talk about that live on this show today. I think there's value. I think there's significance. And part of my Tuesday Titan Live is interviewing people of interest. And today we have Marian Boyle. Marian, how are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing fabulous. And did I pronounce your name correctly?
Yes, Marian Boyle. Yes.
Awesome. I'm known for scalping last names. It's just how it is. But well, it's good to have you today. Good to see you. And I'm going to put this on a side-by-side speaker view. And what I want to do today is just number one, introduce you to the show and to the podcast. I've had some amazing speakers on this show, so you're an amazing, amazing company. Dr. John Gray, the author from Men Are From Mars, Women From Venus, Tanya Meme, Miss World Canada, and show host of Sell This House. We've just had really a lot of great talent on the show. And what I love doing is talking about, what's happening in the real estate world, real estate related content. And so I'm going to ask you to kind of share your journey with us, because like I said, when you talked to me about it, I immediately said, I think this will make a great podcast. I think it will be interesting to people. And some of the positions you've held are definitely interesting in the different governors, relationship offices and different things. So with that, welcome to the show. Why don't we start with this? You were born when? I'm just kidding.
Let's start with an illegal interview question. Now, that is a government employee answer, isn't it?
That's it. That's a true story. That's a true story. You can't ask that in job interviews anymore. So let's walk me back to, well, first of all, what do you do now? What's your current title situation? And what are you doing now? Both in, I know you're in real estate.
Yeah, so I'm doing real estate half-time while I work full-time at the Department of Transportation in California government.
Okay, cool. So DOT, I was Coast Guard, which was DOT back then. Now they're Department of Homeland Security. But so I was a DOT employee as well, actually. So you're with DOT. How long have you been with them?
Oh, you would ask that question. 10, 12 years probably.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, I've served in a variety of roles, everything from all of my roles have been statewide. I like to think big, be big. And so I've ran large budgets, $500 million budgets down to a couple hundred million.
Wow, down to a couple hundred million.
Yeah.
I want that budget.
Well, when I was first sharing that with one of my siblings who's from Egypt, he was saying, Marian, that budget you run is the size of the entire budget for the country of Egypt. Just to give you a perspective, California is just such a huge government, and so. But coming from the treasurer's office, these are small money. This is small money. So.
Is that right? So where did your state career start, basically?
I started actually at the treasurer's office in the debt management area, just transaction processing, if you can believe it. Just
is that right?
Bearer bonds. Does anybody remember bearer bonds?
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah,
I think that was in a Bruce Willis movie too. They were talking about bearer bonds and back in the 80s.
Yeah, no, everything from theft of bearer bonds to having a prostitution ring out of the base of the lobby. Yeah, it was wow. A trip.
Not to put you on the spot, bearer bond, what's the definition? What is
bearer bond means it's owned by whoever actually has possession of it. So on a bearer bond, when it's issued, the interest is pre-calculated. You cut out coupons and you submit those. Now we've moved completely to registered bonds, and then there's GO, the big bonds.
Wow, that's cool. I knew that the possession of it was it's like currency, correct?
Exactly.
That's pretty cool.
So imagine typing those and being responsible for the bond stock.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
No, thank you. I have no analytical bones in my body, and I couldn't make it. I just couldn't do it. I'm like shiny object syndrome. But
So my biggest quest in state service, Randy, was just I always wanted to make a difference. So when the 529 program moved to the treasurer's office from another state agency, It was brand new at the time. I leaped at the opportunity to become one of Treasurer Angeli's managers and step on and bring that program into the treasurer's office, set it up there. And it was its first, it was finally getting stable as a program, as a government program. If you haven't worked in government, there's like a birthing stage. You kind of birth it along.
Right.
So that involved, setting up a board, writing regulations, picking investment managers, because you're running a whole portfolio. So by the time I left that program, we had $1 billion under management of California state taxpayers' investments.
Wow, that's amazing.
So,
and so, what was your most rewarding? I was going to say, what was the funnest, but what was your most rewarding position that you've done over the years in these roles?
I go back to the 529. Well, there's two. So you're going to have two stories. One was when I was at I went to the 529 program to actually manage the governor's scholarship program. So
talk to people, what's the 529 program?
So that is the college savings program for the state of California. So all state entities pretty much have a college savings program where you can either save before taxes, after taxes, but it's basically invested and can be pulled out for, technical term, qualified higher education expenses. So trade schools, colleges, that sort of things. There's emergency provisions. Don't let me talk your ear off. I can go on and on and on.
All right.
A good program for the right people.
Interesting.
And yeah. But I started the governor's scholarship program. It was a governor's initiative and gave out over $100 million of awards in 6 months, launching an online program.
Wow.
And that was in 2000. So all this online stuff, that was new. Having people play.
What year was this? Take us back.
About 2000.
Wow. Okay. That's not that long ago, really.
Well, I mean, because
you got 22 years ago. I guess that was pretty early for this kind of a movement.
Yes, because it was right around 9/11. It was, I relate everything to when my son was born. I was in the treasurer's office when 9/11 happened.
Is that right?
Yeah. And I knew people there because of the nature of the work.
Oh, in the World Trade Center, you mean?
Yeah.
Oh,
we actually had staff there.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah. So
isn't it interesting? Everybody remembers exactly where they were in that moment in time. And there's probably a few things in history that has that effect on people. I remember me for sure. I remember the exact moment, exactly what happened, exactly where I was. And it's interesting. A lot of people lost their lives in that day.
Yeah.
So working in the state at that time, and I've had buddies that have been the governor's security detail for, Brown, Schwarzenegger, Brown again, and many. I've had friends that are in those capacities. I get to hear some of the stories along the way, which are pretty intriguing by themselves. But for you, when we talked, you had a couple roles that you've been in over the years. Can you just talk about those and kind of walk us through that?
Yeah. So at the governor's scholarship programs, in that role, that was actually my most fun role, in the sense that I went out and public spoke, and I would have multiple translators out there. I'd be in inner city LA schools talking,
doing sign language, and
pretty much it felt like
everything.
It was like I'd have an Asian dialect over here, Spanish over here. I could barely do English half the time. So I mean, this was, and
I don't English very well.
Yeah, exactly. So, and and it was really nice because I would talk to people that never thought that their children could go to trade school or could go on to higher education. And it wasn't a lot of money we were giving, but it was just a little bit of incentive.
Yeah.
To help them get started.
That's
and
cool.
Help them think about
it. Grant. Was it a grant program?
It was actually a scholarship, a full-on scholarship.
So you don't have to pay it back, basically, right?
It was giveaway.
That's amazing.
And so that was.
I'm a veteran. I know there's a lot of veteran organizational benefits and things as well.
Yeah, no, it's, and the things we can do to help people look that they can still have hope is just so incredibly important.
I got that from you when we talked before. You talk a lot about hope and a lot about contribution, and it struck out to me, and we're new in our relationship, and you're with eXp Realty as well as I am. So we've aligned that way, and I'm very blessed to have a lot of brain power in my organization. I really do. And that's one of the reasons I wanted to highlight you. But you come from a place of a servant's heart. And to me, when I look at the state employee, not everybody's coming from a place of a servant's heart.
Yeah.
What makes difference for you, and what areas did you gravitate to because of that within those departments and roles?
Well, I like being, first of all, I came from poverty, Randy, and overcoming all the challenges that usually come in that. And, when you start with the school of hard knocks and putting yourself through undergraduate and graduate school, that's some, UC Davis and University of Washington, you don't do that lightly.
That's a true statement.
And so for me, it was all being driven about how can I make a difference for me, but how can I make a difference for others? And I know that sounds cliche, but that's really what it's been about. So early on in my state career, it was how can I help others, the programs I can do. That's why the 529, the Governor's Scholarship Program, doing some special projects internal. And then when I went to Caltrans, I started going, well, how can I help government function better? And that's what drew me into resources.
Interesting.
And then from there, I was able to be a major contributor in setting up a water quality program in Caltrans that helped with some compliance and blah, 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 legal, blah, blah, blah. And, for now I'm in a quieter job, but I'm electing to stay here so I can do my real estate job, because I'd like to get back to being more one-on-one with people and being able to be invested in their problems. I'm somebody that I've had a lot of life. So I have a lot of capacity to help people.
Wow.
And so I came on to EXP because I saw that there were so many resources available, and how I can, now I'm just going, how do I sort through this, connecting with people like you and Matthew and all the people I've met to be able to go, okay, this is how I'm going to do this and how I can be successful. I'm fortunate that I was able to have some good assistance early on. So I've gotten those first few sales out of the way. I kind of sort of pretend to know the ropes.
Right. Well, you've still got a pretty heavy role to play in the, in the private sector, so to speak. And real estate for you is just another layer of contribution as I see it, right?
Exactly.
Because you've got a full-time day job effectively, but the opportunity to, help other people with those assets and those greatest purchases just kind of plays into that servant's heart and that wanting to help each other. So I acknowledge that. So, and you're with Caltrans, I can't leave without poking fun a little bit, because I've got a couple buddies that have been in that organization for over 20 years. And I always ask, why does it take 7 guys holding a shovel to have one person digging? Why is that? And I don't expect you, nor do I want you to answer that, but I'm poking fun at my Caltrans buddies that will watch this. It's like every time I go by, I'm honk, honk, and I wave at the 5 holding the shovel and the 1 actually digging.
I can actually give you part of that answer, but that's okay. I'll respect your boundary there.
I have no boundaries. You go where you want to go, but.
Well, yeah, no, because the traveling public doesn't look out for our people on the roadway. So some of that is just straight out safety. There's a couple of those people that are there just to provide alert. Hey, somebody's coming into the work zone, and it's really serious. I mean, we lose people all the time.
Yeah, you do, and that is very, very unfortunate. Recently, I learned through my buddy that the truck that has the thing that drops down in the back, it looked like to me, literally, I'm a contractor. I thought it was like a radar thing. I thought it was like some kind of radar looking for rebar in the road or something. And I'm like, what is that? It's like this fancy thing that pops down. It's got like signs all over it. Is that like some kind of radar? And he goes, no, that's a crash system. So they can hit that and absorbs the impact, because it happens way too often.
It really does. And that's what those barrels are about. That's why you see different barriers. Sometimes people wonder why. I actually was a resource manager for one of the safety programs. So I ended up hearing all this and unfortunately seeing too many videos.
That's too bad. Yeah, I agree with that. And I've been witness to a couple, so it's no fun. And, I was in construction working in highway and working on the roads and things. And it's incredible. You could put everything up, but they still drive 75 mile an hour 2 feet away from you. And, it's just slow for the cone zone, right?
Exactly.
So you were weren't you in the governor's office? Is that accurate?
Well, when I was running the governor's scholarship programs, I would actually interact with the governor's office on a daily basis, mainly the Secretary of Education. When I launched the program and overcame all the odds, blah, 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 the Governor Davis, sent me a personal email thanking me.
Really interesting.
And when you're in regular dialogues with cabinet officials, it's a different communication. And when I'd go from having that communication to going down and talking to Treasurer Angelides or his chief of staff or head legal counsel, because there's a lot of legalities in doing those types of work.
Of course.
And it's a lot of late nights, and that's where I go. That ability to just suck it up and get it done is part of what real estate needs.
Yeah, that's true. They do have some similarities. So what is the future for, Marian, as you look at, what mark do you want to leave on your profession as I don't know how long it is before you start sunsetting your state career and what that looks like, but what mark do you want to leave on the world as you leave there? You've done a lot of things, you've accomplished a lot of things, you've written things that are in place, right?
Oh yeah, written many regulations, I've written laws.
Is that right?
Oh yeah. Yeah, from the civil service side, which is a different animal. I've of course written many technical reports and budget amendments, blah, 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 blah. So but I think when I'm leaving state service, that's one of the parts I'm really challenged by right now, because in Caltrans, there's a large commitment now to improving everybody's right of way. There's a whole broadband, and there's just creating more equity in transportation for everybody, not just the disabled, but people disadvantaged. So there's starting to be promotional opportunities where I could make a small imprint before I leave.
Interesting.
One more imprint, and I keep being tempted, but then I go for the rest of my life, because I'd like to have the balance that real estate offers for me. So, and I'm looking at, in about 18 months to 2 years, hanging up my state hat and committing to real estate 100%. So I'm in a stage where I want to start building the business.
Yeah.
I'll be in the blessed spot, fortunately, because I've already worked a long career, where I can enjoy the benefits of the real estate without the pain that I hear so many realtors talk about, that EXP actually is designed to help soften. And for me, it's all benefits.
Yeah, it is. And with you, after a long, distinguished career, you might get a going away party. You might even get a gold watch, as they say, kind of jokingly. But the reality is there's also retirement benefits, there's compensational benefits, there's health benefits that continue on. There's a lot of things that happen from putting in a long career in the state. And honestly, that's what's missing in the real estate space. That's why I'm so passionate, and why I coach and mentor and teach and train agents to understand the differences. And it's not just EXP. EXP is the conduit that I've chosen, but there's just not many opportunities within the real estate space to retire with dignity, to leave the space after a very, long and distinguished, beautiful career. It's just when you're done, you're done. I've never been to a retirement age or a retirement party for a real estate agent. It's just they either die in their chair or they just hang it up, basically. And I really do think that that's the future of this industry, is how do we give equity and dignity to leaving this career after a long, 20 plus years sometimes in the career. I know I've been in 19 years, it'd be 20 years, and I think it's in March. And, prior to the last few years and going a different direction, I would have walked away with absolutely zero. And now we've got generational components and wealth that we can give to our children, our children's children. So there is something to be said for that. I admire what you're doing. I admire the fact that you're willing to share your journey, and your passion for what you've done in the state is very noticeable. I could tell it'll be a painful exit when you do get to that point. What if you could wave a magic wand, and don't let us off to anything that you wouldn't want to see again, but if you could wave a magic wand, what would that last position be that you can do that leaves a mark on your career and legacy, basically, in that state service for so many years?
Oh boy, that's an interesting, because I'm so entrenched in transportation right now. Because it used to be about youth. I mean, I used to be all into 4-H. My first job was 4-H fundraising.
Yeah,
So,
love it.
but you know, it really is in the infrastructure. It would need to be water, environment, cabling, broadband. I'm thinking it needs to be in that direction. And that's the job right after we hang up here. I'm going to put in for a promotion and just see if it can.
Hopefully I had something to do with that.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Because, it's important to leave in a good note, but I'm also contributing in a quieter way right where I'm at. So I'm never done delivering.
Right.
I enjoy making a difference. So I'm working with several high-level people to affect a change right now that I'm really not at liberty to discuss. And a lot of the stuff I've done, I don't discuss. And I think that's also part of what will make me good in real estate is I may be very open about my personal business, but when it comes to everything else, I'm very quiet.
Tight-lipped. Yeah, because discretion and privacy is very important, especially in housing. I've listed a lot of properties for people that have a brother, sister, cousin in the real estate space because they don't want to, commingle that private financial detail with family. They just want a neutral third party they could trust to have it stay there. And it's actually pretty common, especially with high net worth individuals and, people that own multiple places. So I'm excited to partner with you in the future. I'm going to watch you sunset your career over the next few years, whenever that is, and wish you well on the promotion. Last thing before we go, where's the future of transportation? What's sexy? What's coming up that you can talk about? What are some of the things? Is it infrastructure? Is it mode of transportation? Is it electric? Is it airplanes? What do you think the future of transportation holds that may be exciting?
Well, that's a yes to all that.
All that.
So, I'm real excited because Caltrans fleet is going green. So I'm doing fleet management right now.
Oh, they have committed to going green?
Yes. So our first, not first, but we're getting a whole batch of Tesla vehicles coming in here.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Caltrans is getting Tesla. Now you might be able to get me to Caltrans if you have Tesla.
Okay. So, yes.
I'm not driving an ugly white truck.
But the clearance on those when you're dealing with work zones isn't the best. So those are going to be our office, going between offices and set buildings.
Okay, I got you. You're right.
Evaluating getting a drill rig to be green is one of the things I'm working on.
The what?
Background. Getting a drill rig to be green. So our
a drill rig to be green. How do you go about that? Not sure.
Wait on Tesla. No, there's several people that are building some vehicles that in about 4 to 5 years will come out. Some of the self-driving vehicles are going to introduce safety that we can't even imagine right now. When I was working in traffic operations, the visions for what is going to come down the road it's going to change what we do. It's going to change what our elderly can do.
Gotcha. And there's a lot of discussion around infrastructure around supporting that. Recently I know Newsom put something out about shutting off ACs and conserving power because of everything that's happening in the world. And what does that do for electric vehicles and grids? And I think more importantly, because I'm all on electric, I'm all in. I believe it's the future. I believe it's truly renewable. There's an argument about batteries and all that, and they're real arguments. Right. They're real arguments to me and to the environment. Sustainability is the future, right? Sustainability. Exactly. I believe that we should be wind, solar heavy as well, and I know there's emphasis on that. What do you see as the future of that side of it that stands out to you? Anything that
I think here on the West Coast, we have the Pacific Ocean, which is just an untapped resource, both for water supply and wind and wave
desalination, wind, wave machines, energy.
All of it. And how do we do it and protect our beautiful coastline? In each of these beautiful things we do have a challenge, but we can do it if we let ourselves do it.
Yeah, I love it.
Just like when you said the batteries, the batteries are an issue, but you know what? We can work around that. We have all kinds of things in our cars right now that are dangerous.
Yeah, so true.
It's a little bit of picking at your poison.
And when there's a will, there's a way, and if we're committed to it, we just have to really not be polarized and just commit to it, that it's necessary for everyone.
And I think that's where it gets hard, is it's change, and people get scared in change.
True
And
story.
how do we make it less scary? And
All right.
usually you just drive into it and you share the bumpiness, but we're so accustomed to being polarized in this world instead of working together and understanding we have differences.
Yeah.
Or maybe a common goal of we all want to leave a healthy planet for our children and grandchildren. And how do we get there? Because right now what we're doing isn't sustainable. I mean, I think we can agree to that. So,
Yeah, I certainly can agree to that. And I'm obviously a military guy. I love my country. I'm very patriotic, and we've got to get back as a people, as one, right? And
yeah,
maybe even as a human, because it's I love Elon Musk and what he's doing about Occupy Mars and just changing the mindset of around that. Hey, we need to be friendly to our neighboring planets as well, not just our planet, right?
exactly. And probably my other big thing, Randy, is what about a little bit of grace in this world?
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
If everybody just put a little bit of grace in front of everything they said.
It's true. Love will lead the way.
So, and that's how I work in state services. I'm that quiet. I'm not that quiet, but I'm a little bit of an introvert. I'm a closet introvert.
Gotcha.
And so I like being in the background and I help the powerful people succeed.
Oh, I love that. Well, it's been a pleasure having you. I really appreciate you. I kind of cut you off when we were doing a little interview the other day going, whoop, stop. I want to hear this story live. I think it was valuable. I know other people will get value out of it. I appreciate you. Thanks for partnering and us to support your journey, both with public service and contribution and, impacting people through real estate in the future.
Thank you.
Awesome.
So are we done yet?
We're done. Any last words before I stop the recording?
Well, actually, no last words, but I was wondering, Randy, in all the beautiful media things you're doing, and is there an opportunity for you to look at a couple 5 agents, it doesn't even have to be, but a few, and do a little chronicle of their journey over the 2 years of building their business? Because we have it with the icons and them telling their stories, but that one or two rung lower.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. And I think we can probably put something together like that with a couple agents that have been through that. And because it applies to all people looking at real estate as a career and what that scale looks like. And especially as a coach, I'm always trying to dissect and reverse engineer a real estate career.
There was a gentleman that was just featured in one of the mailings that we received just last week, and I was looking up his name, and it had some really, whoever wrote the article did an excellent job. Besides his career being, starting out struggling like so many of us do,
yeah,
to then propelling and then getting that magic, whatever that discipline was for him.
Yeah.
And then he got to a level of status that he's happy, and you can always go further and further and further.
Yeah.
But it's just nice to see that journal story, and I would love to hear his voice.
That'd be cool.
And when I read that, I was thinking of you in your podcast and going, God. And as I was looking for his name, I was trying to find the article again, because I was going, geez, just a few of those different experiences. If you had somebody to come in like me, who's in a couple of years when I'm setting the world on fire,
that's right.
Or someone like that who's doing it as a committed career from earlier on in their lives.
Yeah, no, I think there's value. If you find the name, let me know.
Okay.
And I'll see what we could do. But thank you for being here. I appreciate it. Excited to watch your journey, both within the public service sector and transportation and future in real estate.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm sure our paths will keep aligning.
Oh, that would be great. I love the energy and enthusiasm in all these outreaches you do. They're really helpful, not just for real estate, but in life. And that's what I'm loving about EXP is there's that balance of, we want you to do well and give you the tools to do well, but we also want you to be a whole person. We're not here just to take and take and take. And
no, because if you really figure out that whole person thing and you become somebody that you would like to, look at from a place of understanding of what that perfect person looks like, when you start living into that, I think it becomes attractive. I think it attracts other people to you. And that's a lot of why we have the growth we're having both organizationally and as a company, is because when you lead with that culture and when you lead with that belief that if you help enough people get what they want, you'll get all you want.
Yeah.
When you really believe in all ships rise with a rising tide, it takes the competitive piece that is so prevalent in our industry out of it. And it's just like, I just want to watch other people win. And when other people win, we're all winning. And so I think we elevate the bar that way.
Well, and I think that's true in real estate, because my success is someone else's success too.
Totally
Even
true.
in selling their home, if I do my job well, they're going to get their goals too.
Amen. True story.
And yeah. So
Well, listen, girl, it's been a pleasure. I appreciate you being here, and we'll let you know when this gets out. But thank you for contributing, and thank you for your years of service.
thank you. You take care.
I
All right.
appreciate it. Have a
Bye-bye.
great day. All right. Bye for now.